What is up, YouTube? My name is Luke, and today I'm going to be going over 3 easy steps for planning a diet. Now, this is just an overview. This is not going to be getting super specific, but in order to get specific, you have to understand the basics. That is the point of this video. There is more in this series. There should be a playlist coming out here real soon with each and every video in it. So, let's get into this. Into this here. So, step one, we're going to be setting our goals for the diet. What does this exactly look like? Well, we have 3 things we can really do here. Technically 2, in my opinion, but we're going to call it 3, all right? So, starting off, we have cutting, which normally is a deficit of 200 to 500 calories. Now, before you go, well, how do I calculate my calories? Well, we'll be going into that next, so stay tuned, okay? But regardless, cutting 200 to 500. We're going to skip main gaining for a second because this is a pretty hot topic. Bulking 200 to 500. Surplus. So what does that mean? Well, a deficit, you are 200 to 500 calories below your maintenance for your weight. And then for bulking, 200 to 500 in the surplus. You're 200 to 500 calories above the maintenance for your weight. Main gaining. This is the hottest topic in the fitness industry right now. Okay, so a lot of people say you need to be exactly at your maintenance. Well, that's actually impossible because if I move an extra 100 steps in a day, that means I have to eat extra food to make up for that 100 steps. Do you know how ridiculously OCD that would become and insanely hard to do? Like, why would you ever do that to yourself? So, normally, when you're main gaining, I'm going to kind of make this a little bit broad, but we're going to go for a 50-ish calorie surplus. Now, if your activity really wavers, you can go up to 150 calorie surplus if needed. That's personal preference. But now, how do you know what to choose these? Which one of these to choose? Well, down below here, I have a little bit of a body fat percent chart. Now, this is not a for sure thing. Everybody operates differently. There's always going to be genetic outliers. Some people perform better at certain body fat percents than others. What matters the most is your hormonal balance. Are your hormones good? Yeah, then you're probably at a good body fat percent. Is your insulin sensitivity good? Yeah, then you're probably at a pretty good body fat percent. And of course, we're going to assume that your goals are to gain a little bit of muscle and be more fit and healthy. So that's kind of where those 2 things come from. Anyways, let's go into this real quick. For cutting, on average, guys, if you're above 20%, and girls, if you're above 30%, you're probably going to need to put yourself into a little bit of a deficit. Main gaining, now this is where that surplus comes in handy because you see there's a range. You can gain a little bit of body fat during your main gaining phase, and then you can take away some of those calories, and you can cut a little bit during this phase. So main gaining can even go as far as to a 50 calorie deficit. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. 12 to 18% for guys, 14 to 25% for females. Now, girls, you kind of operate a little bit differently than guys. You kind of have some reproductive organs requiring you to have a little bit more body fat, and your range for workable body fat is normally a little bit higher than guys. You should not be thick skin shredded year round. Neither should you dudes either be too. And then, of course, bulking. Girls, if you're below 12%, and guys, if you're below 10%, you need to add a little bit of body fat on. Now, like I said, this is kind of subjective here. Everybody works a little bit differently. If you're a girl and you feel fine at 12% body fat, who am I to say not to maintain there? I mean, I would personally say get up a little bit more to see better gains, but that's totally your thing. And guys, if you're below 10% and you're like, yeah, I feel amazing, I'm still making progress, who am I to tell you to bulk up more? If you're seeing progress, you're enjoying your progress, who's to stop you from doing that? Not me. But overall, this is going to be kind of how to get your goals set up here based off your body fat percent and where to put your calories at. Now, how to calculate your calories. This is where things get a little bit wonky. All right, so for calculating your calories, if you want something that's fast, easy, and fairly accurate, you can just go into a calorie calculator online and put in your body weight, your height, and depending on which one you use, your body fat percent, and it's going to give you some fairly accurate results for your goals and whatnot. Now, it can be off by a couple hundred calories every now and then, and sometimes it can be off by a lot. So, if you do use this method, you're really going to have to pay attention to your progress towards your goal within the first couple weeks and editing your diet as needed. For instance, for me, right now my goal is to gain weight. I just got done competing and I decided to plug my stats into a calorie calculator and it said in order for me to gain a pound per week, I need to be eating 3,700 calories. Now, that for me would be absurd. Okay. I'm eating 3,000 calories right now and I'm gaining weight. So, everything to a certain extent is progress driven. Are you seeing what you want to see with what you're eating right now? Yes. You don't need to change it. But regardless, that's something to keep in mind. Might not be the most accurate, but is for sure the fastest. Now, self reporting is my preferred one because it lets you know what exactly you're eating right now. And of course, as you see, the weekly total matters over everything. So that's why I say for 2 weeks, track your calories accurately. Don't use any of that like bullshit AI stuff to track your calories. It's not accurate in the slightest. Just get MyFitnessPal. And if you really want to scan the barcodes on stuff, get the premium version. It's not that much. And even then, I don't even use the premium. And it works perfectly fine. You can make meals if you eat the same things every week, like me. And all you gotta do is just tap a button and it automatically logs that meal. But regardless, self reporting, 2 weeks, you'd be able to find out your weekly average of calories, and essentially that is your true maintenance for where you're at right now. And then from there, it will be either adding on the surplus or subtracting the deficit away. Um, let's give a little bit of an example of a person for the macros we're going to do. Sorry, I just had a complete another brain fart. All right, so we are on to the second step here, which is calculating out your macros based on the calories you just got from the previous step. So the example person we'll be using for this is 160 pounds and he requires 2,500 calories for whatever reason. All right, so first we're going to talk about how to portion everything out and then what I personally use for this example right here. Okay, so protein, you're going to need 1 to 1.7 grams per pound of body weight. For fats, 0.5 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. Carbs, you're going to fill in the rest of your calories with carbohydrates. And fiber, you want to try to shoot for 25 to 38 grams of fiber. Baseline, most people don't get enough fiber in their diet. Now, let's go into the reasons why we do this stuff here, right? Because you don't just want me to tell you it without you actually understanding why you want to do certain things. So, the reason why protein is so high, there was a study done where they had individuals on a bulk. All right. I forget how many calories it is, but I will link the study down in the description below. This is off the top of my head, so it might not be 100% accurate. But they had 3 different groups eat different amounts of protein, but they're all at the same amount of surplus. The group that ate the most amount of protein actually ended up gaining the most amount of lean muscle mass. They all gained the same amount of fat, but the 1.7 grams per pound of body weight group actually ended up gaining more lean muscle mass. So if we know that edging closer to this 1.7 range is going to aid in producing more muscle, then why wouldn't we want to do it in the cut too? So overall, 1 to 1.7 grams per pound of body weight is most beneficial. For fats, this is where people fearmonger fats a little bit. You need fats in your diet, okay? You need omega-3s and omega-6s. End of story. The reason why is because all the types of fats kind of help aid in the production of hormones, except like trans fats. You don't want those to begin with, really. But I would not ever suggest going below 0.5 grams per kilogram of body weight. Can you go more than 1 gram? Yeah, probably. Is it going to hurt you? It really depends on how much you're getting in and what your cholesterol is looking like and your blood lipid levels and etc. But normally for the average person, 0.5 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight of fat will do just fine. And then carbohydrates. Why do we want carbohydrates? Those are also been fear-mongered by your keto group and your carnivore diet people. Oh, you don't need carbs because your body makes carbs from the fat. You, you do realize the problem with the argument right there? Carbohydrates are so essential, your body will go through the most extreme measures to make carbohydrates. It will burn literal muscle to make carbohydrates to fuel you. You know how incredibly inefficient that is? Your body is meant to be super efficient. That is why we gain fat in the story, because your body doesn't know that we're in the 21st century and that we have food readily available. It's meant to be efficient. So why not give it what it needs? And at the end of the day, if you're in a deficit, you're going to lose weight. If you're in a surplus, you're going to gain weight. Who would have thought? And of course, when you get into actual training, the production of ATP requires glucose. If your glycogen stores are not full, you're going to hit failure sooner because your body won't be able to produce adequate enough ATP and actually keep sustained contractions. So you're not going to be hitting muscular failure. You're going to be hitting failure because you don't have enough glycogen. Simple as that. And then, of course, fiber aids in digestion, aids in satiety, aids in helping your gut microbiome. And I also do want to say, the more protein you have in your diet, you're going to feel more full. Protein is very, very satiating overall, especially for those who are in a cut and who struggle with the hunger signaling and like you just want to feel full. It really does help with that. So for this individual, I went with 0.3 grams per pound, 0.75 grams per kilogram, and then I just fill in the rest of this with carbohydrates here. So that's kind of how you want to set up your macros. This step right here is where the majority of people fail, which is the actual execution of creating their diet. So now you should have your protein, carbs, and fats domed out for the whole day. So how do we want to set up our diet? Well, use a calculator right here. Now, I always suggest having at least 5 meals a day. You can have more if your calories allow for it. Now, what does this look like? So starting off, ooh, 1 second, we have breakfast, okay? Yes, you're gonna eat at breakfast. Why do I say eat breakfast? Well, because you just went 8 hours without eating, most hopefully, if you actually get your sleep in, you went 8 hours, and your body is depleted of everything. Simple as that. Now, if skipping breakfast is easier for you, then skip breakfast. Simple as that. But just make sure that you get another meal in throughout the day. But I always say, eat a breakfast. Next up, meal two. Normally, this is lunch. Especially if you work a job, from breakfast to work, you might not have time to eat. So your next meal will be lunch. And then when you get off work, normally, pre-workout meal. All right. And we're gonna add intra. If you have an intra workout meal like Gatorade or something. And then next up, we have, if I could actually write, oh my gosh, post and dinner. So essentially, you're gonna wanna time out your meals, which is really not that hard. If you know when you're eating, you can kind of train your body almost to get hungry at these certain times. Pretty cool. Now, how to portion out your meals? Well, there's a couple different ways you can do it. If we have 5 meals, we can just divide all these numbers here by 5, and that can be your target macros for each meal. But normally, this is what I like to do. So for your breakfast, well, I'm not gonna write anything down. Normally, I like to go a little bit higher in fats to slow down digestion a little bit, a little bit higher in carbs, higher in protein. Okay? The reason for this is like I said, you just went 8 hours without eating, and you're gonna need a lot of just overall resources available to your body to do stuff. I also like to get some electrolytes in the morning too, because you're dehydrated. Lunch, I go for a more mid protein and carb approach with a mid fat approach. And then for your pre workout and intra, very, very low fat, high carb, protein can be wherever it needs to be. Post workout, mid carb, high amount of protein. And then dinner is just to fill in whatever you need. So it can look something a little bit like this. I really do apologize for my dog shit handwriting here, but in about 10 minutes, I made a meal plan for this individual that gives 4 out of 5 meals. Now, why did I do that? I'll talk to you guys about that in a second, but let's just go over it. So, for the first meal, 2 eggs, 70 grams of egg whites, 70 grams of oats, 20 grams of whey, comes out to 42 grams of protein, 15 grams of fat, 53 grams of carbs. Meal two, 130 grams of 93.7 meat, 20 grams of baby spinach, 285 grams of sweet potatoes, and a kiwi, comes up to 32 grams of protein, 10 grams of fat, 76 grams of carbs. Meal three, 170 grams of Greek yogurt, 2 rice cakes, 10 grams of honey, 1 banana, and 20 grams of whey. 34 grams of protein, 1 gram of fat, 57 grams of carbs. Meal four, 1 cup of 2% milk, 30 grams of whey, 126 grams of mixed berries, 25 grams of oats, comes out to 39 grams of protein, 7 grams of fat, 43 grams of protein. So just in these 4 meals here, that's 147 grams of protein, 33 grams of fat, and 229 grams of carbs. That leaves for meal five, 58 grams of protein, 22 grams of fat, 67 grams of carbs. Now, why would I ever leave that fifth meal open? Well, a lot of people tend to have the problem that they don't like to eat the same thing every day. Me personally, I like to eat the same thing every day. I like that structured routine. But if you plan out 80% of your meals and then leave one meal open to kind of have what you want and fit within your macros, in my experience with the majority of people, that will have them end up reaching their goals a lot faster than having every single little thing domed out. And at the end of the day, as long as you hit your calorie goal, you're gonna be reaching your weight goal no matter what, whether it be to gain weight or lose weight or maintain weight. Uh, this puts even in just these, 4 meals right here, they are very close to their protein goal for the minimum. They are above the minimum for fats and carbs. They should be pretty good. And of course, meal 5 here is up in the wind. It's whatever they want. One thing I would say that this individual would need is a little bit more fiber. So for this last meal, I would probably have them getting a vegetable in with a little bit of carbs and maybe like a steak or something with maybe some protein yogurt for dessert. Ninja creamies definitely do come in clutch with that. But yeah, this is kind of like how I like to set the execution is plan out 4 out of 5 meals. Know that you're going to eat 5 meals. Plan out how much of each macro you're going to have in each meal for efficient meal timing. The reason why that you want a lot of carbs in your body before you work it out is your glycogen stores are full. And yeah, that's that there. Alrighty, thank you for watching that little bit of an overview video on how to set up a diet. Now, I do know that was very general information, okay? I will be getting more into the specifics because I don't want this video to be an hour long just yet. I will make a video of like me kind of putting everything together. But plans for the future of this diet saga, going to be going over how to track calories, how to bulk, cut, and maintain. So I'm going to be going more into depth of how you want to set up your diet for those specific goals there. And then I do want to make a separate video on cardio and dieting. Now that is getting more into the training aspect. And this is, of course, assuming that you're training anywhere from 3 to 5 times a week resistance training and getting your daily zone minutes in, of course. But overall, we've got some more videos that I need to make for everyone, including my clients, future clients, and people who just want to learn something. I hope that you gained something from this video. If you did, smash like, subscribe, that type of bullshit. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Also, any feedback would be nice on these videos. I don't have very much space to record them, and I'm very limited equipment, but let me know.